Morning, everybody. What a wonderful morning it is. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Thank God. Thank goodness it's Friday. It's Friday, but it's not just any Friday. Today is May the 15th, 2020. What's big about that day? Today is my 38th wedding anniversary. Wow. 38 years wedding anniversary today. So First Lady and I are celebrating today, 38 years married, and I just wanted to share that with you. Help us celebrate today. Just shout us out, if you will. And I'll just let you know something as we let the audience get together. Let me just share a little bit of my story. We got married at 3:30 on a Saturday in my father's church on an old country road in Middlesex, North Carolina. And First Lady was in the car in front of the church waiting to go in, and I was late. Can you believe that? I was late. My buddy and mine was rushing down the street in my car. The dust was flying up, and I'm trying to get there so I can get married. She had no idea. She had no idea that I was late for the wedding. Didn't want her to be standing at the altar, left at the altar. Well, that's just part of the story 38 years later. So, hey, it's time for Morning Manna. Let me share with you, let the audience get together, and then we're going to get right into the word. We've been in this whole series this week about leadership. And we talked about leading yourself, leading your home, leading your business, your career. Now we want to talk about leading in the church. I want to talk about leadership in the church. So that's what we're going to deal with today. It's always the text, the talk, and the takeaway. The text, the talk, and the takeaway. And that's what I'm going to do. This is what you're going to do, because we're a community and we're in relationships, so it's a dual street that we're on. It ain't a one-way street. This is what I need you to do. Give the hearts and the light. You got to give the sharing. You got to share the manna. You got to share what is shared with you in the comments so other people can get it. Whatever revelation you get, I want you to put it in the comments so somebody else can get that revelation as it is shared throughout the day. All right, here's the text, the talk, and the takeaway. What we're going to talk about right now is that new smell. There's nothing like the new smell, especially in a car. How about that? Think about it, or the new smell of clothes. Or remember when I was a kid and, had those jeans on that will cut you. You pull them up and they were that new smell, those new clothes. Whatever it is, it just has its own aroma. Well, we're going to talk about what that new smell has to do with leadership. Here's the text this morning, 1 Timothy 3:6. 1 Timothy 3:6. Let me share it. It says this: not a novice, lest being puffed up with pride, he fall into condemnation with Satan. Not a novice, lest that person be puffed up with pride. What's going on in the text? Remember, I shared with you on yesterday that Paul is giving Timothy some prerequisites so that he can pick leaders in the church. Now, he's saying, look, you need to be able to pick leaders in the church, and I want to give you some prerequisites so that you can do it in a preventive way. In other words, who you pick is going to determine how far you go. And so he says, the way I need you to do this, Timothy, is one of the main things I need you to do is don't pick anybody new to this. Don't pick anybody that's wet behind the ears, still green. You need to get some people that are seasoned. You need to get some people that are seasoned. I remember when I was a young guy working at a grocery store, Winn-Dixie. If you're from the South, you know what I'm talking about. I was working there in high school. And I worked for the Mr. Sutton was the grocery store manager. And I remember well him saying, and there was a sign over the clock that you punched in on, and it said, I don't make mistakes, I hire them. I'll never forget that. He says, I don't make mistakes, I hire them. So Paul is saying to Timothy, look, if you want to limit the mistakes you make, pick the right leaders up front. How do you do that? 3 things I want to share with you. You got to pick leaders that can tell their story. You have to pick leaders that can tell their story. They have to be articulate. They have to be able to communicate. But the main thing is they have to have a story to tell. There's no point in you getting somebody and a novice, a new person, doesn't have a story. They got a page in a book, baby. They don't even have a chapter yet. So when you pick leaders and you want to be a leader, you got to have a story, baby. You have got to have gone through some stuff as opposed to just showing up saying, hey, pick me, or saying, I want to do this. So if you're in a church, you need to understand something. If you're not picked right now, maybe you don't have a story. Maybe it's that you need to get a story. You need a little bit of time in this whole thing, talking about leading people, because you can mess some folk up if all you have is a page and not several chapters in your storybook. Here's the second thing that you need to do. You need to be able to be tested. You need to be able to be tested. We talk about this. Job was tested, was he not? And he came forth as pure gold, but he had to be tested. He had to be tested. Now, when you are tested, this is what it talks about. When you are tested, you are put in a furnace, if you will, a cauldron, if you will. And it's like iron, and the dross comes up. In order for iron to really become the metal that is usable, it has to be put under tremendous amount of testing or fire, so that the dross or the things that will not withstand the weight of the test or the weight of what is going to be done will rise to the top. They clean that off, and then they can then use the metal to hold up stuff. When you are a leader in the church, when you are picking a leader in the church, you got to pick somebody that has been tested and that is willing to be tested. John Mark says, you know what? I can't deal with this. Paul says, go home, man. Go home. If you can't deal with this whole thing about being on the mission field and dealing with all of the things, then just go home. And later, he came around because he was willing to be tested. Job was willing to be tested. You need to know, when you're picking people to be a leader in the church or looking to be picked yourself, be willing to be tested. The third thing is you have to be able to take a punch, baby. You got to be able to take a punch. You know what? I just saw recently Mike Tyson, who is saying he's coming back. Man, that video, that little clip I saw on Twitter, that thing is awesome. I would not want to be hit by him even today. Now, some of you remember Mike Tyson, Iron Mike. And he has this thing. Now, he's famous for a lot of things, but he is also famous for this one particular phrase. He says, everybody has a plan until they get hit. Everybody has a plan. Everybody wants to lead until they get hit. You got to be able to take a punch in the church. You got to be able to take a punch in leading, whether it's the church, whether it's your home, whether it's on your job, whether it's you starting a business. You got to be able to take a punch. If you get knocked down, get up, get back up, and get back in. But you cannot have a cotton chin. You got to be able to take a punch. You got to take a punch. You got to be able to take a test, go through a test, or be tested. You got to have a story to tell. What's your takeaway this morning? Your takeaway this morning is this. It's kind of long, but I want you to get it. The car doesn't drive good until it loses its new smell. And you can't lead well until you lose your new smell. A car does not drive good. Can have all kinds of things going on with it. Those new kinks that got to be worked out. It doesn't really drive well until the new smell is gone. And you can't lead well until all your new smell is gone. Hey, I'm going to be talking about next week. I'm going to be giving an anatomy, or I'm going to be giving a autopsy of leadership. So we're going to be dealing with an autopsy or an anatomy of leadership next week. If you want more, then go to ileadacademy.net. Go to ileadacademy.net. You get more of this. God bless you. Have a great weekend. You need to go to somebody's church online this Sunday. I'd love for you to attend New Life, 9:30 on New Life Tube 1 on YouTube. God bless you. Or Facebook Live. God bless you. See you Monday with more Morning Manna.